Anyway, lots of the times we'd be finish up and it would be just getting dark for bringing in the syrup. And then he'd say, well, supper time, and in we'd come, and Gracie would have the supper ready for us. So I had a lot of suppers here.
What kind of stuff did you guys eat?
Well, I remember in the summer, they had a lot of tomatoes. They always had big plate of potatoes cut up in wedges, the tomatoes. And there was usually boiled potatoes, ham. She was boiling in a big pot on the stove. And pretty much just the traditional stuff. So all I know is when I left, I was full.
Yeah, sounds like good meals.
And sometimes then he'd say, well, I guess it's bedtime. And I'd say, what do you mean bedtime? Because just across the road, I can go home. I can be there in 3 minutes. He seemed to like when I have company. I stayed over here, so I'd just stay here. If he said stay, I usually just stayed. I had a daughter, Iris.
Right.
Son, Bill. I guess they only had 2, Iris and Bill.
So were they here when you were
No,
helping him? Or
no.
were they older?
They were gone.
Out of the house, yeah.
I seen them, like they would come here probably on weekends or different times I would see them.
Mm-hmm.
But when I was in public school, she used to teach me piano lessons.
Oh.
In that room right over there where that cupboard is.
In the dining room there.
Yeah, in the dining room there was a piano. And I got piano lessons for probably 6 months. And then I'm not sure why I quit. I guess it was my thing, learning to play the piano. But I did have lessons from Iris, their daughter, who is still alive, and she lives, I'm not real sure, but I think somewhere around Cambridge. I'm not sure. I tried to Backus-Page. I never had too much. He didn't seem to be around here that much, but Morley's nephews would be
Backus-Page?
Jack, yeah, and Jack and Don. Yes, Don. Don now, I believe, is in the Dutton nursing home, and I'm not sure if it's his son that lives in the farm down by.
Oh, Gerald?
Is that his?
Gerald?
Gerald? Yeah, he comes here. I met him here one time at the one of the
events
you had here. Yeah, and yeah, he has a tractor. Like I have a tractor, and he has one just like it. It's a Alice Chandler's CA model with the wide front wheels. I haven't got around to my latter part of my life. One thing I didn't mention was when I was still living at home across the road, I decided to take flying lessons.
Oh, okay.
And there was another fellow, Reg Miller, who owns some things out in your
Agricultural Center, yeah.
yeah, out there, and he took me for my very first airplane ride.
Wow.
And he kept it at Stan Johnson's farm between here and Wallacestown. There was 2 runways, and he kept his airplane there. So he kind of inspired me because I would go out in the evening and watch him do aerobatics. He'd go up there and up loops and rolls, and for hours he would spend up there. So I thought, geez, I'd like to do that. So one day I managed to go over there and get a ride with him. And of course he took me for a ride. Well, he had to show me how to do loops and rolls and all sorts of stuff because that was what he liked to do. And of course, I fell right in love with that. So when we got back down, I said to him, where do you go to learn to fly? I didn't even know where you learned to fly. So he gave me London Flying Club's address, and he says they open at 8 o'clock. Monday, I think they were open Monday to Saturday. Anyway, I thought, oh, that's all I got to do? And I thought you had to be a university graduate to be a pilot, which is not true. So I went over to the London Flying Club at 7 because I wanted to get there early. I sat there for an hour waiting for the pilots and the instructors and the staff to come. And I'm sitting on their step and they're all going in. One guy looked down at me and said, would you want to fly? And I thought, what a offer that is. And I said, sure. So he says, well, come on in. So I get in the office and the instructor looks at me and says, what's your student pilot permit number? And I says, what's that? I don't have one of those. He says, well, have you flown here before? And I says, no. He thought I was coming back for another lesson. I says, no. And so he quick signed me up for flying lessons. So I says, great. And so when we were all done, we went out and hopped in an airplane with the head owner of the flying club, and I've been flying ever since.
Wow.
I believe I got now close to 4,000 hours in the air in the small planes.
Wow.
So when you're having your events and you see a red and white airplane flying over with a sunburst on the tail, you'll know who it is now. That'll be me.
There you go.
Now I have taken several pictures of this while the events are going.
Oh, okay.
And last night I searched and I searched and I searched and I says, where are those pictures? Couldn't find one. So, but she said, not a problem. Next time you have something, I'll just fly over and take some more.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting to see it all from there.
Yeah, exactly.
The last pictures I had, there was a guy plowing with a horse, big horses,
Okay.
on the far side back there. And so I got some pictures of him while I was flying over, but I can only circle like 2 or 3 or 4 circles, and then it gets kind of boring. Just going around in circles, so then you find someplace else to go.
Right.
But now I have an airplane and I keep it near Kamoka at near Kilworth. You know where Kilworth is?
Mm-hmm.
It's closer to Byron in London.
Yeah.
So I just keep it there, about 5 minutes from my house.
Wow.
My flying part of my life is most interesting to me.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
My memory doesn't serve me that well, but I seem to remember that they had a base at Fingal Airport, and they used to tow a target on a long roper cable behind a bigger plane, and then the other fighter planes would come along and shoot at the target, but the bullets would always go in the water, like they was flying lengthways down Lake Erie. But I think I remember hearing the machine guns going going down the lake. And one day, Gertrude Page, my public school teacher, came into school, and she had a little bag, and one of the bullets went astray, came through her roof, and lodged in their kitchen table.
Oh my gosh.
And about half of it was sticking out of the wood. So she pulled it out of the table and brought it and showed everybody what the bullet looked like. And I'd be interested to know where that bullet got to.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure she kept it someplace.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
So I suspect Iris, if I ever get to talk to her, or I'm going to ask her if she remembers, Iris would have been her niece, I think. She was closely related.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so Reg Miller, I flew quite a bit with him. So, that's one of the reasons I come here.
Yeah.
Because I think I'll see him and I'll talk with him here.
Yeah.
3 or 4 years ago, I called him up and asked him if he wanted to come for a ride with me. Only fair. He took me for a ride, and he did come.
Wow.
And he had a little difficulty getting in because he's of his age, but he can. I've taken him several times prior to that, but if he.
Did he enjoy it?
Oh yeah. well, yeah. He really likes it, just even to ride. But I just don't know. I haven't seen his. Last time he was walking around pretty slow.
Yeah.
But But the first airplane I had is exactly like the first one that he took me for a ride in. It was called a Luscombe.
Okay.
So I thought, well, if that Luscombe can do loops and rolls like that, that's the kind of plane I want. So when it came time to buy a plane, I thought, well, I got to find myself a Luscombe. And I searched around till I found one. And I actually took him for a ride in it, that one as well. So I let him fly it a little bit
Yeah.
while we were up there. He didn't think he wanted to try to land it, but it's easy to fly once you're up there. So
Yeah.
anyway, I'd take him again if he feels he can make it. But
So when you were in high school, did you get any jobs or anything, or was?
yeah, I worked in tobacco.
Okay.
I primed tobacco something. I picked it off the stalks, and I found that was kind of strenuous for me.
Yeah.
I found a better position in the tobacco business. I got to be kill hanger.
Oh, nice.
Where the slats came up a elevator. Now you stood up there and stuck them on the racks. A lot less work than running up and down the hot field.
Yeah, that's for sure.
So I always said, well, I got an executive job. I'm kill hanger.
Yeah, much better than being in the field.
Yeah.
My dad did tobacco too, and he was younger, and he says it was very strenuous on you and hot, and you're working long hours. And
yeah, that's how I got my money for my flying lessons. I took my first flying lesson in October 1963, and I finished my lessons in 1964, and I pretty well paid for it from working in tobacco, anything else, rod jobs I could do. So that's my flying career.
Yeah,
I still fly.
that's great. Do you get out often, or?
Well, probably if I wasn't here, I'd be flying.
Right, yeah.
If it's sunny, I'm usually flying. We fly to places like, we go for a lot of lunches.
Okay.
We go to Pelee Island.
Yep.
We fly to Sarnia, Godrich, Hanover, Tilsonburg, and Hanover. People say to us, you fly all the way up here just for lunch? And yeah, there's an expression with pilots that fly that you're going for the $100 hamburger. Because by the time you start your engine up, use gas to get there, insurance and everything else, plus pay for your hamburger. By the time you get back, you pretty well ruined a $100 bill. But unfortunately now the $100 bill hamburger is almost becoming the $200 hamburger.
Yeah.
Now.
Yeah.
But it's something to do, and not everybody gets to do that.
Yeah. But
I have a few points in here. I'll just kind of look through my notes.
yeah.
I don't know whether you knew this, but across the road where all the jungle is,
Right.
the Lands and Forests, back when I was in public school, they showed up one day with a one furrow plow, and they started plowing from the road to the lake bank, and they plowed the one furrow probably about every 15 feet until they got the whole area done. And then they came along and were hiring students who wanted to plant those trees, which are poplar. And so that was actually one of my first jobs that I got paid for, was planting all those poplar trees over there.
So how old were you around that time?
Well, I was in public school, so
Okay.
I started 48. No, I was 6 years old. I don't know, 10, 12, somewhere in there. But I could carry a bucket full of little trees and this little shovel they give you, and you stuck it in the bottom of the furrow and bent it over and rammed the tree roots, this down in there, then pushed it back, then took the shovel, and from the furrow, you could scrape extra dirt to put around the tree. And they planted them, I think about every 10 feet, which I thought was pretty close together to be planting trees. But that's so, if you go over there and look, the furrows are still there.
Wow.
The bump where they didn't plant the tree,
Uh-huh.
if you walk in there, you walk in there, which is a jungle, and all of a sudden you'll trip over something, it'll be one of these furrows that are dipped up there. So, another thing, the hills behind the big white house across the road,
Right.
John S. Pierce, I believe it was, had cattle, and the cattle would just pick those hills down, they looked like a golf course. And we used to walk back to the lake across these hills, but just straight back, there was sturgeons lived there, like schools of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's while I was in public school, first year or so in high school. And any visitors that would come to our house, I'd say, "Do you want to see the sturgeons?" And we'd all walk back, and there was no fence or nothing. And you'd look straight down at the beach, and about 20 to 50 feet out in the water, which isn't far,
Yeah.
the beach goes down, then it comes up to a sandbar.
Right.
And these sturgeons lived in the deep part between the shore and the sandbar. And I think we counted, like, I used to hang around with several other boys my size from Tricontinental and around. And we'd go back there, and I think we counted as many as, I'm going to say, 20
Wow.
in a school, like
Yeah.
in a group. And some of them would be, I'm just guessing now, but they were like bigger than a big person, the biggest person, these were bigger than that. Right down to ones that were 4 feet long, smaller ones. And they spent all summer there. And usually if you went there in June 15th, when the lake was calm, and once it's calm, it clears, like the dirt and crap settles, right. And then you can see the bottom, and you can see these sturgeons. They're just strolling up and down between Little John's and back to the park here.
Mm-hmm.
And so one day, 3 or 4 of us, I think it was maybe 6, decided, well, let's catch one of these sturgeons. This story's going to be interesting. So we went to the hardware store and bought a big triple hook, like a grab hook.
Yeah.
And we got about 12 dew worms. And we put them on all the prongs, so we just had a big mass of dew worms on this. And we got a big, long, heavy-duty fishing cord. 3 of us were down on the beach, and we'd wind it up like your hand and then let it go out where they were. The ones up on top of the cliff would look down, so you missed. Throw it 5 feet ahead of you. We could throw it right in front of these fish. We could pick one out. And sure enough, one grabbed it. So there's 3 of us down there, and we're all hanging onto this cord. And the fish would swim parallel to the shore for 200 or 300 feet one way. Then it would turn around and come back. And we were hanging onto the cord so hard it was cutting our hands. So we grab a stick, a piece of driftwood, and wrap that in and hang on to the driftwood. Finally, after numerous times up and down the shore, this fish got tired. Then he decided to give up, and he just sort of says, "Okay, you win." So we got him up to the shore, and he was half in and half out of the water. So we looked at each other and we said, "What do we do now?" We didn't anticipate this.
Yeah.
So one of the guys said, "Well, maybe we should get a big stick and give him a whap and do him in." So he went over and got a big stick, and the sturgeon seen him coming towards him. And the sturgeon said, no, you're not going to hit me with that. And within 5 feet of us, the sturgeon flipped from being flat on the ground, half in and half out of the water, stood up on its tail, looked us square in the eyes, with eyes about an inch diameter, and flipped backwards out into the water and went splash. And the hook flipped out of its mouth, and away he went.
Wow.
And we figured it was at least 6 feet long and about over a foot diameter wide.
Yeah.
So it was a big one. That was our big story, the getaway. So now when I'm in the park or anywhere around, I tell people, keep an eye for the sturgeons, because I think they are coming back a little bit. And so every time I fly up and down the lake, I watch for them. And on a clear day, you can actually see them
Wow.
in the water, yeah, because it's not that deep. Like on a clear day, I can see stuff out in Lake Erie half a mile, because it's only 20 feet deep or so out there.
Mm-hmm.
And you see things like that shouldn't be there, like old washing machines and stuff that people throw over the lake bank, get rid of them, and then eventually it washes into the lake and it's down there. But I look every time I come to see if they're back, but now it's so hard to get back through here.
Yeah.
There's no trails, and it's bramble bushes and everything else, so you really can't get back there. So
when you were younger there, did you guys, because it's a quite steep cliff there, did you guys have like a path that you made down to the beach?
Yes, from behind my mother's house, we used to kind of come up the road a little bit here and then cut through the woods there. Oops, keep my hands down. Cut through the woods, and this ravine right here,
Yeah.
that you drive over, about halfway down it in the woods, you can get down there. Like, it's not that steep.
Yeah.
And we had a little trail and trees you could hang on to. But yeah, we always go down there. We always go down. But over the years, where it's met the lake, it's washed away. And now one time I was in the park, and to see that trail, or to see if you could get down there, and it's pretty much next to impossible.